Art, craft, technology. You hear these words thrown around constantly, right? But what do they really mean? And why do they always seem to get tangled up with each other? Well, today we're going to dive in and try to untangle this whole thing. All right, to kick things off, let me throw a little puzzle your way. Just imagine you're walking through a museum and you come across three very different clay pots. Sounds simple, right? Which is which? But trust me, the answer is way more interesting than you think. Let's take a closer look at our exhibits. First up, pot A. It's sitting on a pedestal, with all that dramatic gallery lighting. It's kind of lopsided with these really bold, abstract patterns. The title is Rebellion, and look at that price tag. This thing is definitely trying to make a statement. And then we've got pot B. Wow, this thing is just flawless. Perfectly symmetrical, covered in these delicate, traditional designs. You can just feel the skill. The label says it was made by a fifth-generation potter. It just screams heritage. And finally, there's pot C. This one's a whole different beast. It's all about getting the job done. It's made from some modern composite material, it's stackable, dishwasher safe, and you can pick one up for cheap at IKEA. This feels like a solution to a problem. So, which is which? Got your answers locked in? Okay, so here's the thing. It was a bit of a trick question. To really get a handle on these pots, we need to stop trying to shove them into rigid boxes. Instead, let's try looking at art, craft, and technology as different lenses. Three different ways of seeing the very same object. Let's start with the art lens. At its very core, art is basically one person saying, this is how I see the world, this is how I feel, and I need you to feel it too. It's the language of a totally unique, personal vision. So what really makes something art? Well, the expression is usually way more important than whether it's useful. We care a lot about who made it, and its value, that can change completely depending on where you see it. Think about Duchamp's famous urinal. In a men's room, it's plumbing. Put it in a gallery, call it fountain, and suddenly, boom, it's a revolutionary piece of art. Context is everything. So yeah, when you've got your art lens on, you're asking about the big stuff. Meaning, feeling. What was the artist trying to say? All right, now let's swap out that lens for the lens of craft. This is a big shift. Where art is all about that one person's vision, craft is about the wisdom of the whole tribe, often passed down for generations. Craft is all about that deep, practiced skill, something that takes years to master. It's where beauty and function meet, and the knowledge here doesn't really belong to one person, it belongs to a whole culture. Think about the incredible techniques for weaving a traditional Banarasi sari, passed down from a grandmother to her daughter, and so on. So you could say the craft mindset is kind of obsessed with the how. How was this thing made? What incredible skill went into it? It respects the process just as much as the final product. And that brings us to our third and final lens, technology. This is that relentless human itch, the one that's always asking, can we do this better, faster, smarter? It's the pure logic of solving a problem. Technology is all about systems, about making things repeatable and better. Just think about the potter's wheel. That single invention completely changed the game. It was a tool that made the whole process faster and more consistent for pretty much anyone who learned to use it. That knowledge can be written down, shared in a manual. So the technologist's brain is always buzzing with questions like, how do we scale this? Can we improve on this? Does it actually work better? It's all about optimization. Okay, so we've got our three lenses, but this is where it gets really cool. Because in the real world, things are almost never just one of these. The most amazing stuff happens right where they start to bleed into each other. Like when art and craft get together, you get what's called fine craft, something that's ridiculously skillful but also has a really strong personal message. Or what about craft and technology? That's basically the world of design. And when artists use technology as their paintbrush, you get new media art. And right there, in that sweet spot in the middle, that's where all three come together. But here's the thing. Because they all value different stuff, they tend to fight. But these conflicts aren't a bad thing. They're actually what pushes all of human creation forward. I mean, look at this classic showdown. You've that technology over here yelling, let's break it and build a better one. And then you have craft saying, whoa, hold on. There are centuries of wisdom baked into the old way that you just can't get with a machine. And here's another one. Art is totally cool with sacrificing function for an idea. A chair you can't sit on can be an amazing piece of art. But the craft perspective is looking at it, shaking its head, and saying, it's beautiful, sure, but if you can't sit in the chair, it's failed to be in a chair.
So when you understand these different mindsets, their overlaps, and even their fights, you get this incredible new toolkit. It's like a new way of seeing everything that's been made around you. And this isn't some new idea, by the way. These lines have been getting messy for a long, long time. The Industrial Revolution smashed craft and technology together. Then you had the Bauhaus School famously trying to get artists and engineers to be friends. And today, man, with things like AI and 3D printing, the line between who or what is creating is practically gone. And this is the part you can take with you. You can use these three lenses to deconstruct pretty much anything. Just grab your phone. The art questions are about its sleek, minimalist look. The craft questions are about the insane precision of fitting all that stuff into a tiny glass and metal box. And the technology questions, that's the whole magic of how it works and how they can make millions of them. You see, you need all three to really get it. Which brings us all the way back to our three clay pots. That rebellious art pot, it stands on the shoulders of thousands of years of pottery craft. That perfect craft pot, it was probably made with a modern, technologically advanced kiln. And that IKEA pot, a designer with an artist's eye for form definitely shaped it. They're not in separate corners. They're all talking to each other.
And that conversation is just getting weirder and more interesting every single day. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. When I can just type a sad robot in the style of Van Gogh into an AI and get a stunning image back, who's the artist? Me? The people who wrote the code? Or the machine itself? It's a question that makes us rethink this entire trinity of art, craft, and technology.